Good day. I'd like to talk about boundaries tonight. I'm triggered by someone that I hardly know, who's just a neighbor that I hardly talk to, who happened to get my number. And after she got my number, she used for her own gain in business. Uh, my shock was when I got a phone call. Then I was told by this sales lady, these 087 numbers in South Africa, or Pretoria numbers, these numbers that says you've been referred by so and so for a business, something like that. And first of all, the lady that called me Nosy. Rule number one, I'm not Nosy. Nosy is my nickname, so that will tell you how little the lady who used my number knew me. So I didn't take kindly to that. All I did was to say to the caller, I'm sorry, I'm not nosy. And which was true, I'm not nosy. Boundaries are our yes and no on the things that affect us individually, not that affect relatives, not that affect families. I'm trying to define it in simple terms, but you can Google boundaries, psychological boundaries or boundaries. Um, Boundaries are the things I say yes to and the things that I say no to. And as human beings, we always, because we are craving harmony and we like peace, we always compromise our boundaries. We know how we feel about the way people do things, but we will keep quiet. I always feel like if you keep quiet and compromise your boundaries, you are compromising yourself. And for me, I always feel that you are accountable to your conscience. By the end of the day, you are accountable to yourself. So do not be a sellout that sells even yourself to the world. Your yes or your no. Be a person who's assertive too. Personal boundaries. There was a time where I shared a flat in another country with one woman. What she did was she gave my number without my permission to her boyfriend. The next thing, the boyfriend sent me a message saying I'm his secret admirer. I went mad. First of all, he said he was joking, but in terms of my boundaries, he had crossed the line. I don't do flirting jokes or sexual jokes. But the woman didn't take kindly to my reaction, whereas she is the one that told me that her boyfriend who married her best friend who took him from her behind her back. It's always a woman's fault, most, and a man is always making us fight, blaming the other from the other, speaking badly about me from the other. So she is the one that said she doesn't understand why I don't understand, because her boyfriend was joking. And for me, I told her that I don't take kindly to sexual jokes, and that compromised our relationship a lot. As a result, we separated flats. It's the issue of boundaries. But it was also a cultural issue in this issue, because she was from another country and was from another country. Ironically, even with this neighbor of mine, she's from another country and I'm from another country. I'm not trying to say South Africans do not break boundaries, but this experience for me are for people who are not South African. Even though the second one, I was in a foreign land, but this happened. So I'm cautious about boundaries because I believe that as human beings, we need to have our own boundaries. We need to tell people, to treat people, to teach people how to treat us. We need to teach people how to treat us. We need to be clear about our yes and no's as human beings. People should know what is respectable and what is not respectable. The good things to say and the bad things to say to us. Things that we accept and things that we do not accept. So we should be honest to ourselves to speak our truth. We should be honest enough to ourselves to say no when someone is crossing our boundaries. As a human being, I've got the things that I'm strict about, that I know that they are my personal boundaries. Recently, I went to a tourist attraction a place. So I visited this place, and because it's the time of corona, COVID-19, we are asked to fill in some forms. So these forms where they take your temperature, they asked, have you traveled, do you have fever, blah 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 blah. There was a man, and I was just nice to him. Not I was not even looking for a lover, no, but I was just nice to him because he's a human being. He was making me feel this. I guess he's a security guard. Again, you leave your number on this or on those things. Then the first thing he did, okay, I left. He passed a joke that says, why are you traveling alone? My response was, the kids are at home. It was none of his business, but I said the kids are at home. Then I went to my car and I drove. Then I guess he didn't see me when I came back. The first thing on Monday, about 6 a.m. in the morning, I received a call from a number that I don't know. Then I asked, hello, can I help you? His response was, yes, is the man, the man that you met in this place. And then I say, okay, how can I help you? I thought maybe I left something or something like that. And then he's saying, I'm calling to tell you that I've fallen in love with you. I don't want to lie. I insulted him because I felt disrespected. I felt like he crossed the line to take my number without my permission. And I felt like if I could take this up, he could lose his job. But because I didn't want him to lose his job, I told him to go to hell and to delete my number, of which he did. So it is very important for us to communicate the boundaries to people, because people think it is okay to cross the boundaries. And once we put a stop to it, they get offended. Recently at work, I had stopped a man who's supposed to supervise me for talking anyhow with me. I told him that you don't ever talk to me like that. He got offended, but I told him that you do not talk to me like that. Never, ever, ever talk to me like that as long as you live, because he was disrespecting me. In my terms, he was discriminating me as a woman. And in my terms, he crossed the line in terms of my boundaries. I realized it became an issue, a serious issue between us. But I realized later that most women at work, they know he talks like this, but they have allowed him to do it. You know, as human beings, we sometimes normalize bad behavior. We accept bad behavior and we normalize it, whereas we compromise our own boundaries. For an example, in my own terms, it is not acceptable to say to a person, oh, you gained weight, you are fat. It is not acceptable. You are crossing my boundaries. You are embarrassing me, because there is nobody who likes to be called fat. Another example I have, it is crossing my boundaries to ask me about my salary, especially when it has nothing to do with you. You know, I don't even know who has the permission to ask about my salary. It is wrong to ask someone about their salary. It is crossing the line to ask people, oh, you work in this department of tourism and whatever. What position are you in there? Oh my God, you are crossing boundaries. It's none of your business. Why are people like that? But in terms of the positions and salaries, it's usually a person who doesn't have a salary who would ask people about the salaries. I don't know why. It is someone who doesn't have a car who would ask you about the car you drive. It is someone, you know, who doesn't work, who's unemployed, would ask you about your position, which is crossing the line. Recently I borrowed a man of God who's a pastor or a bishop my car. Because I didn't know directions, he called me stupid. I had to teach him a lesson that, you know what, let me introduce myself to you. You do not talk to me like that. You do not ever call me stupid. Okay, I went ahead, because the person who calls me stupid, I picked up, he breaks English. I'm not saying my English is perfect. I might even be breaking it, but he's worse. You know, in breaking it, you don't make sense of what he says in English, and sometimes he misunderstands the things I say in English. Then I said, how can you say I'm stupid? Because I have 6 degrees. I'm doing the 7th one. So how can you call me stupid? I was offended. Maybe I crossed the line too to tell him about my degrees, but I was introducing myself to him because he crossed the line. He called me stupid, and nobody is allowed to call me stupid. People think it is okay to disrespect us. Then, when we respond or we call them into order, we are either called sensitive, we are either called we are confrontational, etc., etc. You do not disrespect me and expect me to accept it. Because when you disrespect me, you are crossing the boundaries. Because I set boundaries in the way people talk to me, in the things people are supposed to say to me. I was once called by a lecturer who was supervising me. In fact, he didn't directly say it, but he passed a message which says, you cannot turn a lizard into a crocodile. After we had an argument about my work, she was crossing the line. She went too far. She was not supposed to say that, and I had to call her into order and tell her that. In fact, I waited for my victory to pass. Then I told her that I was not a lizard after all. I was a crocodile. These people who are called lecturers are very, very disrespectful. Funny enough, I was one of them in some of the universities, and I was never disrespectful of the students. I don't know what makes them think they can disrespect other people or think they can talk to students anyhow. It is not what you say that hurts, it's how you say it. You do not disrespect me, cross the line, cross my boundaries, and then expect me to fold my arms and let you get away with it. I once met a woman, but the funny thing is today, she calls herself the prophetess of God, the woman of God. Again, I was in another country. So we are we are entering a lift, and it's the three of us. And then she asked me something that I felt it was disrespectful, and I reacted immediately about, why am I tired? Have I been drinking? In the first place, I never tasted liquor all my life. I took that as a disrespect immediately, and I told her that you don't ever associate me with the things that are sinful, whereas you call yourself a woman of God. Okay, she kept quiet and downplayed it, but I heard her friend, who was also my friend, saying, no, she is a very sensitive person. But for me, she crossed the line. She cannot associate me with booze because I don't drink. I don't drink liquor. So I'm just encouraging us to be strong enough to communicate, our own boundaries to other people. It is very important that people know how to treat us. Teach people how to treat them. You don't have to be rude, but you have to know and understand your own boundaries. Because if you let people cross your boundaries because you're afraid that you will lose friendships, that person was not a friend in the first place if she cannot allow it when you say no. If you compromise your boundaries because you do not want to lose your relatives, that person was not close to you. By virtue of them saying something hurtful to you, it means that they were not close to you in the first place. So we cannot allow people to disrespect us, to cross our boundaries, to cross the only thing that matters to us and to our conscience, our own boundaries, our own yes and no. How do you know that what you say to me is not supposed to be hurtful when you are not me? I always hate it when someone is saying, but what I'm telling you is not supposed to hurt you. It's hurting you because you are sensitive. But how do you know what can hurt me and what cannot hurt me when you are not me? So we should be respectful of one another. We should try and not cross boundaries. We should know the do's and the don'ts when it comes to other people's lives, because some things other people take them as disrespect, you know, based on the way they define life. Based on the way they define boundaries. My boundaries might be different from yours, and my boundaries might be affected by certain cultures, but I know that I have my boundaries. So learn to understand me, and when I teach you, understand me. I thought I should share this thing of boundaries because it is a very serious issue. When we grew up, men used to just, you are sent to a shop, he would touch your breasts. I don't even want to call them boobs as if I like it. They would touch your breasts without your permission. And when you say something about it, it will be like you are a wrong person. You know, in a church, a man of God, who called him a man of God, touched me that way. And I didn't like it because people think that they can cross our boundaries. People think like they can touch our bodies. That is why we have rape everywhere, because people think they have permission. They cross lines, they cross boundaries, they cross with their mouth, they cross the lines with their actions, they cross the lines. Please know your boundaries, know what to say to people and when to say it, lest you cross the boundaries. Thank you so much. I'll continue with this issue of boundaries at some point. God bless you. Bye, guys. Let us respect each other. Let us respect each other's boundaries. If we don't know about those boundaries, let us learn about them. Thank you so much.